I think there is a consensus between Iran, Israel, and the United States that we are all going back to war. It's inevitable.
Sure.
It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. The U.S. took its shot. We went for it. It was intended to be a decisive strike to bring down the regime and destroy their military. It failed. So I think we're headed back into a war. I think it's very unlikely as time goes on that a deal happens because these two sides don't trust each other.
The peace deal with Iran has totally collapsed. We're back at war, and the United States has been bombing Iran for 3 consecutive days at this point. So what does that mean? Does it throw into question that any peace is possible as long as Israel is going to sabotage this deal, that Trump is beholden to the Israel lobby, and that he won't budge from his absurd utopian demands that don't exactly square with the MOU that his administration signed? Well, we'll have to see. Let's see Nick Fuentes breaking it down and what this means for the future of this theater going into the midterms and beyond. So please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hype it if you can.
So the development in Iran, I mean, look, it's nothing new. The ceasefire's over. Anybody surprised? The MOU is officially dead. Well, it's unofficially, officially dead. Who even knows? None of this matters. MOU is not even I think it's exactly 3 weeks old today. 3 weeks old as of today. It was signed on June 17th, a Wednesday in June. 3 weeks old to the day, and it's dead. Today was the second night of an all-out U.S. attack on Iran on its southern coast against Bushehr, one of their nuclear power plants, allegedly against some of their bridges and civilian infrastructure in Iran. We hit them really hard yesterday. We hit them really hard today. And all of this was in response to Iran's drone attacks on commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, hugging Oman's coast. We, in conjunction with Oman, opened up a free route to go through the Strait of Hormuz on the southern side, where commercial shipping didn't need permission from Iran to get transit, to get passage through the strait. Iran didn't like that, so they started firing drones, impacting 3 of those ships over the weekend. As retribution, the U.S. canceled Iran's oil sanctions waivers.
Okay, I see why. I mean, bro, if I control the strait and I'm saying like, nah, it's a toll or you gotta get taxed or you can't come through free. If they come through free, man, you're gonna expect for them to attack. Like you're going to expect an attack. Most likely, what's going to happen. But then Iran have to understand too, they're going to be retaliation back. So at this point, like, bro, Israel's not letting us get a peace deal. We keep going to war. We keep fighting. At this point, bro, it's all in. Like, it's all in. Like even Ukraine is hitting Russia deep. Shit, Ukraine's sending missiles to Russia's capital. They hitting Russia's oil fields and shit. Like they're deep into war, getting to a point. China is now launching missiles. And Japan is like seeing the missiles be launched. Like China is practicing missile launching. Like getting to a point where nigga war is war is here. There is no it's a little conflict. Oh, it's a little upset. We'll go battle here. This is now about to be just full on declaration of war. And they're gonna fuck the economy already bad. This is going to really fuck the economy. They're gonna fuck us. A lot of people are gonna lose jobs, houses. People are gonna be homeless. No, but it's going to fuck us.
So the sanctions are back on Iran's oil. We pounded Iran last night, bombed them 80 times. We bombed them more today. Now, Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz again. We say the deal is off, and so do they. So, who could have predicted this? Well, I did. Okay, I said we're going back to war.
I knew that.
I said the negotiations are a sham. I said the MOU was a sham. And we knew that from the beginning because the MOU was a misnomer.
And for everybody who gets upset because I be talking as Nick be talking, fuck you, bitch. Because we all talk during the same time a podcast is going on. We all do it, nigga. We all do it. You be talking to yourself in your head or you be saying shit out loud. Like, don't act like you don't talk during a podcast. You watch my shit right now, you're probably talking as I'm talking. Bitch ass nigga.
memorandum of understanding. We never achieved an understanding with Iran.
Yeah, or if we did, Trump wasn't willing to honor his side of the arrangement, trying to sell this deal as everything other than it was, the United States capitulating to Iran in a botched effort brought on by the likes of Netanyahu and the Mossad. And I'm recording this a few, I guess, hours after Nick did, but it's the third day of bombings now. During the daytime now, there's a third round. So the war is back on. There's going to be an economic catastrophe again. With the strategic oil reserve depleted. Americans haven't felt the worst of it yet because there still is that strategic reserve. But as even Trump himself admitted just a few weeks ago, it only had about 4 weeks left to its usage before Americans were really going to pay the price at the pumps. And they already have in some places, like in the East and West Coast, some people paying over $7 a barrel of oil for this war that doesn't benefit the United States in any way, but it really
like this war doesn't literally benefit us at all. Like it doesn't. This war literally does not help the United States economy literally at all. Like it doesn't help us one bit. Like not even an inch, not a verdict, not a little bit. This war does not help us at all. And we're only fighting it because Israel. We're the number one ally for Israel. That's why we're fighting this shit. We shouldn't be fighting this shit. We shouldn't be. No, my bad, yo. Hold on. Let me get back to the. There you go.
really does seem like this collapsed. It does seem like Trump was won over by the Israel lobby by reneging on the deal to have the waivers for Iran to sell its oil on the open market. Those have been revoked, and that even more than the bombing tells me that the United States is not serious about living up to the expectations of this deal. And that's beyond the theater of Lebanon, because the first point in the Iran MOU calls for Lebanon's territorial sovereignty to be recognized. But there's no...
Just you, building your app
Just me?
on Base 44.
Base 44?
There's no semblance of our imagination that's telling us right now that Israel is going to cease occupying Lebanon. There's supposedly a ceasefire between Hezbollah and Israel there, but none of the military commanders, none of the political leaders have said that we're going back into Green Line Israel. We're not going to try to annex southern Lebanon beneath the Litani River, not whatsoever. So this thing has collapsed, and if this was just to kind of replenish our ballistic missiles or kind of set the stage for the next phase of the war, looks like that's a more plausible reality at this point than Trump and Vance really sticking to this peace deal, really trying to sell it to the public. Sure seems like they want war again.
Okay, what is this war even about? We've talked about it at length. Trump said it today. If you pay attention to the stuff, it's all out there. People say, how do you predict this stuff? How do you analyze it? It's
there.
Those that have eyes to see and ears to hear, it's all out there, I promise you. Trump said today, he said, I don't even necessarily want regime change. He said those words. He said, I'm not even necessarily interested in regime change. He said, what I want is denuclearization. That's all I care about. I have been saying that since the beginning. That's fundamental. That is critical to all this. Israel, on the other hand, says the opposite.
I tell everybody that. I'll be like, bro, the main cause of us really entering this war, like, besides us helping Israel, is for us to stop their nukes. Who cares about us giving them money? Who cares about the Strait? Who cares about the bombing? We're not fully taking over their country. The main thing is to stop them from having nukes. If they close the Strait, who cares? We don't get oil from them. They don't want to change the regime. Who gives a fuck? As long as they do not have nukes, that's all that matters. That's all that matters.
They say it is all about regime change. The Iranian regime should not survive. For them, that's what this is all about. Now, we are in a war with Iran, ostensibly pursuing regime change in a bid to get them to denuclearize. It didn't work. So we put that on a back shelf. Now we're concerned principally with opening up the strait. But Iran's not going to let us get off that easy.
Oh, not easy, no.
Iran
No.
says, look, you started the war. You took your shot. You killed our supreme leader. You tried to topple our government. Now we're not going to let go. You fell into our trap. We close the strait, and we're only giving you our oil back if you give us some real assurances that you're never going to do this again. That's really what is happening.
I mean, it's either going to be like, you have to give us, because Iran not going to win this war. They can't outlast, like, if we really want to be petty, they can't outlast the United States. Like, we just want to just play the long Jeopardy game and go like 2 to 3 years of just little like Ukraine and Russia, just little battle here, little battle there. They can't outlast United States without the help of China and Russia. Russia got too much going on right now for them to really help long Jeopardy, and China got a lot that's about to come. China can help though, for sure, but it gonna be too much.
The U.S. took its shot. We went for it. It was intended to be a decisive strike to bring down the regime and destroy their military. It failed.
Yeah, it failed.
So Iran grabbed us by the testicles. They grabbed us by the balls, which is the Strait of Hormuz, and they said, now we got your oil. We have the lifeline to the global economy. It's going to cause a big problem for you with Europe, with Asia, with
Everybody.
your midterm election, with the economy. We are not letting go until we get assurances you're never going to try this again.
Yeah, I think that really is the dynamic here. It's the ultimate hedge that Iran has against not only the United States, but everywhere else in the world. It's not a nuclear hedge as they propagandize that Iran has nuclear warheads in a secret nuclear warhead weapon program like Israel does. Israel has something like 300 warheads by many accounts. That was the propaganda that the Zionists were using against the Iranians. No. Their hedge against the United States is the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, which causes a ripple effect through the global economy. And as long as hostilities go on, they can hold the world economy hostage. And it's not just oil and natural gas. It's actually fertilizers, raw materials, and a lot of other things that come out of the Strait of Hormuz and into the global economy. That's what we're dealing with here. Now, I do want to maybe push back a little bit on what Nick said. It is true, I think, in many positions within the Trump administration that this is more about denuclearization at this point, trying to create a nuclear deal. Could have had that without exchanging of blows. The Iranians were willing to negotiate twice, but were in a duplicitous fashion betrayed by the United States, colluding with Israel to launch this war in the first place.
Oh, man, it's crazy. It's not even like the United States is the one breaking the treaties. It's not even us. It's Israel. We get a treaty, Israel attack, we get put blame because we can't control them. It's like it's like North Korea attacking somebody, and China, and people want to get mad at China. People's like, bro, people will get mad at China because people will say like, damn, China, bro, keep your people, like, keep your country in check, nigga. Like, what the hell? That's how it is with Israel. We not keeping them in check. So it's looking like we're not the powerhouse. It's looking like they're the powerhouse. They make all the calls.
Could have had a JCPOA, a new stricter one. Trump could have sold it. No problem. They decided to bomb instead. But Trump did talk about regime change a lot in his opening speech to the American public announcing this war. He said, Iranians, rise up and overthrow your government. It's your last chance. He really was convinced that this was going to work by Netanyahu and David Barnea, the chief of Mossad. They said that the Iranian protesters were on the cusp of overthrowing the government. No, and decapitating their supreme leader backfired to the furthest extent any military strike can backfire. It created a rally around the flag effect. And you saw that at Ali Khamenei's funeral just a few days ago, with rallying Iranians that were clearly on the side of Iranian nationalism and not overthrowing the regime that kind of took its place. And it really isn't a different regime. It's the younger, more radical son of Mojtaba Khamenei, who lost a wife, a child, and a father in that strike. He's not going to be more sensible. He's going to be more radical in terms of digging his heels in against Israel and the United States.
Yeah.
Now, the United States is coming to Iran and saying, look, we promise we won't do it again. We're sorry. We finished. We're done trying to attack you this time.
They don't want you to know about it.
Hey, did you know you might get a big cash payout?
I did not.
Let's just sign a truce and let's be done. Let's just call the quits here. And Iran is saying, look, not so fast. Iran says your words mean nothing. You signed an agreement with us in 2015 and you ripped it up in 2018. They said you pretended to negotiate with us last year and then let Israel do a sneak attack on us. You pretended to negotiate with us this year and then did a sneak attack on us.
Israel.
So Iran is saying, not so fast. We don't want assurances in the form of words. We don't want more treaties and more talks and more rhetoric. They said what we want is for Israel to leave Lebanon. Because if Hezbollah is allowed to regrow, then Israel's less likely to attack Iran in the future. Iran says also, we want reparations. We need hundreds of billions of dollars to rebuild so we can defend ourselves. Additionally, we want your military out of the region. As long as you're forward deployed and mobilized on our borders, we fear that you can and will attack us again. So you got to go. You got to take the Navy out of the Persian Gulf. You got to wrap up those bases in those countries in the Arabian Peninsula and the GCC.
I don't know. Matter of fact, let me get Persian Gulf up here real quick. Hold on. I'm gonna keep playing this.
They got to go. They say additionally, we're going to hang on to the strait. We're going to hang on to it. Ships can go through, but they're going to pay us. This is our waterway now. And the reason we're claiming it is so that if you try this again, we're going to shut it down all over again. These are...
Hold on. I just had it. Hold up. Okay, so this is the Persian Gulf. So this is Persian Gulf. Oh, I just had it. So this is Persian Gulf. Oh yeah, move your shift out the Persian Gulf, out the strait. Oh, pretty much. Okay. I mean, if they got control of it already, I don't see backing up. I don't see backing out, like backing up off of it. I wouldn't say a full retreat at all. I would not say no full retreat, and we gotta remove all our bases. But I'll say we can back up a little bit.
Iran, that is basically what is happening. I think there is a consensus between Iran, Israel, and the United States that we are all going back to war. It's inevitable. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Iran anticipates and is preparing for a resumption of hostilities. So is Israel, so is the United States. And so what is the purpose really of this MOU? Did Trump really think Iran was going to open up the strait to freedom of navigation? He couldn't have possibly thought that. Did he really think that Israel would withdraw from Lebanon?
No.
Hell no. He knows over Netanyahu's dead body are they going to give up on their dreams in Lebanon. Haven't given up on that dream for 45 years. Do the Iranians really think that Trump and Israel were going to keep their end of the bargain and they're true to their word? And they're going to let the strait open up and they're just going to give all this money asking nothing in return? Of course not. So why did the United States agree to this? I think this is a face-saving way to, in an emergency situation, increase the supply of energy. Yep. What did we give Iran up front in the deal? We didn't give them billions of dollars in frozen assets up front. We let them sell their oil. And a lot of people said this is a huge concession to Iran. We're going to let them sell their oil on the open market with no sanctions at full price, and they get to settle the payments in dollars, so they get the money up front. Talk about a sweet deal. They're getting everything up front, and we get nothing in return. And so that's why I think all these negotiations, all the diplomacy, it's all lies.
Sure seems to be, and indeed, none of the frozen bank accounts were unfrozen for assets to go back to the Iranians that they were frozen for, but you do have the oil waivers back on, so this might have been just a maneuver to prepare for a phase 3 of this war. And Americans suffer the more this war goes on. Doesn't seem like there's going to be any conclusion to it anytime soon, and fighting might resume, in kind to a further extent, even after these 3 days of bombings, in a fashion we haven't seen since back in April when the bombing was at its kind of maximum capacity in this theater. That does seem to be what's going on. But What could make Trump and JD Vance look worse at this point, with egg right back on their faces after just 2 weeks ago trying to sell the Iran MOU, trying to, try to say base things about the U.S.-Israeli relationship that dissidents on the left and right have been saying all the time about how much influence they have over our government, how they bomb people indiscriminately, kill people in Hezbollah, as Trump talked about, that they're not grateful to the United States despite acting entitled to our treasury. It's not like Trump and Vance will stand against it, but nonetheless, they were using rhetoric to try to sell this deal at that moment. They could not look worse at this point in preparation for the midterms. We're going back to war for a lie that Netanyahu sold Trump. The genocidal maniac Netanyahu, who the U.S. government funded a genocide for, is not going to use its leverage over the so-called vassal state. Who's the vassal state now? Sure seems to be the United States, and it's a slap in the face to all patriotic Americans. No more. This is a toxic union with Israel. All ties should be cut immediately. It's always counterintuitive. It's always negative for the American people.
It's all posturing. It's all lies. It does not matter what Trump says. Stop listening to what Trump says. Trump says, I think the deal is off. Later, I think they want to make a deal. Trump has demonstrated that what he says and what exists in reality, there's no relationship with these things.
Do not get a consolidation loan until you see this. Hey, Mario Lopez here, and if you're thinking about getting a consolidation...
What we have to look at is the dynamics, what's happening fundamentally. And I think where all of this is headed is we're going to take another crack at it. We're cleaning things up. Like I said, Trump put in this huge effort lately to make these missile interceptors cheaper. They want a very cheap model that they can deploy to the Middle East to shoot down Iranian drones. It doesn't cost $5 million a pop. And we want to make them quicker and make more of them. We're getting ready for another round. We want to get that oil supply secured so our economy's intact. And I think Israel's doing the same thing. We're cleaning up our act in Iraq. In the Green Zone in Baghdad, there was some big political move against some of the Iraqi opposition. Maybe they want to get Iraq under control before they make another move on Iran.
It's all part of Greater Israel. They want to expand their borders into Syria. And
what Israel is doing is everything they've been doing. I'm sorry. Matter of fact,
Lebanon and possibly Iraq and parts of Sinai and make Gaza settlements. They just released a plan to create 3 Israeli settlements in Gaza. That's not getting much attention as they decided to attack and push forward into Lebanon, try to annex that territory. They're not backing down from that. And Trump's saying, yeah, Israel should stop its hostilities in Lebanon. Talk is cheap in Washington. Actions is what matters, and Trump's always folded to the Israel lobby. He's not going to use the coercive power of the United States against Israel to the benefit of the American people. He's chosen to side with the Adelsons of the world, with the Larry Summers of the world, with the Bill Ackmans and Ronald Lauders of the world that care about Israel's.
What I was saying was, wrong pipe. What I was saying was, Israel is doing what they've been doing since 1948. They took Palestine and just start expanding, getting bigger, and bigger. And they're trying to do, and they took over Palestine. They flattened Gaza. Now about to turn it into some luxury suite, bunch of hotels and places you can go for vacation and shit. They're trying to do the same thing, in, like you said, in the other countries. Lebanon, Syria, Israel trying to expand their borders. Crazy.
Aspirations far more than their country, their state, their community, or their family in many cases. That is the disease we're dealing with. It's a parasitic attachment that needs to be ended immediately. Again.
Maybe that's the situation. So I think we're headed back into a war. I think it's very unlikely as time goes on that a deal happens because these two sides don't trust each other. There's no understanding between the two sides. There's no agreement. They don't trust each other. Iran has no confidence we're not going to go back to war. That's why they need these assurances. We definitely want to go back to war. And that's why we're not willing to give them. We want to maintain or preserve the option to go back to war. As long as Iran has highly enriched uranium and centrifuges, we're going to reserve the right to intervene militarily. And that means they can't control the strait, and that means Hezbollah can't be rebuilt, and that means we can't just give them hundreds of billions of dollars, and we can't abandon our bases, because what happens if they don't follow through on denuclearization? There's nothing we could do to shut it down at that point. So that is the root cause of all of this, and that's just not going away.
Yeah, I tend to agree that's not going away, and it's not that the war will resume. It seems like the war already has resumed. For the last 3 days, again, these bombing strikes, adding to the total of something like 16,000 strikes, hasn't exactly gotten the ballistic missiles program to be dismantled. Hasn't exactly gotten...
Bro, 16,000 strikes. 16,000. In 3 days. Picture living there. It's an earthquake all damn day. 16,000 strikes in 3 days. That's some shit, bro.
Their nuclear enrichment program to be ended hasn't exactly gotten regime change and hasn't exactly opened the Strait of Hormuz. You're going to see more of that. The only pushback I'll give Nick here is saying that, you know, the United States wants to reserve the right to initiate war. I'm with him there, and it's all about denuclearization. Well, if it really was about denuclearization and having a new inspections regime to make sure that they can't enrich up to weapons-grade uranium again, you could have a new JCPOA. It seems like they're still willing to negotiate on those terms if they also get sanctions, relief, unfrozen bank accounts, etc. You could leave the theater, give them a new deal, sell it as a rigid 40 chess masterpiece that only Trump can deliver, something absurd like that. Most people won't buy it. Some of his diehard sycophants will still try to sell it that way. The Jack Posobics out there, the Wilt Chamberlains out there. Those people will try to sell that on Twitter as such. But at the same time, you could have that deal without additional hostilities, without additional conflict. There's an additional reason that the United States keeps being willing to fight this war, and that's Israel's interest, because they're so deeply entrenched into this administration. Miriam Adelson bankrolled it. He sides with the neocons he once pretended to oppose, putting Marco Rubio as the Secretary of State, the diehard neocon Marco Rubio, also a child of Miriam Adelson, who has the most power in this government, maybe above Trump in some ways. He's not only the Secretary of State, but also the National Security Advisor. That's the guy leading your foreign policy. That's the guy who is leading this effort, this charge. And that's why they didn't throw out Marco Rubio to try to sell the MOU. They threw out J.D. Vance, who they think can be used as someone that can actually sell the vision of a peace deal, whereas Marco Rubio can't. No one is pretending that Marco Rubio is ever going to sell a peace deal to any conflict. So like I'm saying, this is more than just about denuclearization for the United States and having a new inspections regime. It is about Israel's desires.
I'll agree with that. I think, well, besides the Israel desires, yes, but I do think for the United States, I think it's more so just denuclearization. I don't think it's anything more. Because even in the beginning, Trump was trying to make a deal with Iran, because he even said it. He was like, before the war even started, he was like, bro, like, let's make a deal with them and make oil cheap. Like, it's good. They got a lot of oil. We need oil. Let's make a deal. Shit, they get oil. Then Israel said no. Then that when Israel bombed them, and that was before their leader got assassinated, and then that's when the war started. That's how the whole war started. Well, not how it all started, but that's what started this recent war. And but it also. Trump is doing this for Israel's best interests. I just don't know what it is with the United States and not put the United States government and not putting the American people first. I don't know. It's like we worried about immigrants. We worried about other people, other countries and shit, bro. We need to worry about the United States of America. If we need to get illegal immigrants out, we need to stop supplying Israel. We need to close borders. We need to start focusing on America. Like, that's what we need to do. People be tripping, man.